If you do not want to make the same mistakes every beginner makes on their first knife, come with me and I will help you. This is a series where I will show you, from start to finish, how to build a knife the right way. And today I am going to show you how I make the guard for a hunter knife. I start with a piece of 5160 steel. I apply layout fluid so I can see the marks better, and I mark the center of the piece. Now I define the length of the slot where the tang will fit. I make two markings, one on top and one on the bottom, and this center area will be where we drill. Using a square, I reinforce the lines. And with a punch and hammer, I mark the drilling points. I make marks at the ends, in the middle, and then subdivide them. In total, I end up with 5 holes. Now I measure the thickness of the tang. Here it is about 3.5 millimeters, so I use a 3 millimeter drill bit. This gives me some clearance for fine adjustment later. I drill all the holes on a drill press, always cooling both the piece and the drill bit. Now I flip the piece and enlarge the holes from the back side. I intentionally leave this side wider to allow more room for glue later. Here I am using a drill bit of about 5 millimeters. With the holes done, I start opening the slot. I use a rotary tool with a cutting disc to connect the holes and speed up the process. You could do it only with a file, but this saves a lot of time. Then I use a round file, in this case a chainsaw file, and finish connecting the holes. Now the slot is open, and we begin the fitting. With a flat file, I make the sides straight and keep adjusting until the tang fits tightly. Always carefully. It is better to remove a little material at a time and keep testing than to go too far. This fit is what will define the final quality of your knife. Now I slightly enlarge the back part of the slot to make sure there is enough space for glue. The ideal result is this: a tight fit at the front and controlled clearance at the back. Now I will adjust the Ricasso fit into the guard. I make the markings with a utility knife, defining exactly where the Ricasso meets the guard. Then I start removing material with a rotary tool and needle files. Here is an important detail. I do not need to reach the line exactly. I need to make sure the flat surface of the guard sits 100% against the Ricasso. With no gaps at all. Adjustment done. Perfect fit. Now I make a template for the outline of the guard. I use a piece of plastic, cut it to the size of the Ricasso, and start drawing the shape. I mark about 5 millimeters on each side to define the maximum width. Then I draw the curve, cut it, and keep adjusting until I reach the shape I want. This part is trial and error. You keep refining the template until it looks right. With the template ready, I transfer the design to the steel piece. I mark both sides using the same template to ensure symmetry. Now I remove the excess with a grinder and refine it on a belt grinder. Again, using an older belt for the heavier stock removal. Then I switch to a finer belt to make everything symmetrical. Now comes one of the most important points. The height of the guard must match the Ricasso. It can exceed by at most 1 millimeter. More than that is already a mistake. I make the markings and start grinding. First I remove the bulk, then I shape the finger radius. Always working slowly and checking both sides. Then I round the lower portion. I mark the limits and gradually build the radius. This is all about repetition and control. Now I do the fine adjustment of the height, always removing less material and testing the fit until I reach the exact fit. With the height done, I remake the radius at the final dimension. This is the final shape, so it requires attention. Now I adjust the top of the guard. I slowly remove material until it aligns with the spine of the knife. Then I move to a finer grit for finishing. Now I round the sides. I mark the area that must not be removed and work only on the sides. With everything adjusted, I do a final refinement, removing the grinder marks. Now I create the lateral convex shape of the guard. I mark the limits with a ruler and start grinding on the contact wheel. First I remove the bulk, then refine it, always checking to keep symmetry. With the guard ready, I move to the manual finishing. I sand everything with 100 grit and then 220. I stop at 220 because I will do phosphating. A slightly rougher surface helps the finish adhere better. Then I align the top of the guard with the spine of the knife, sanding both together. Now I fully clean the piece and move to phosphating. After that, I prepare everything for glue up. I clean the guard, the tang, and the Ricasso thoroughly. I apply a 2-part epoxy with black pigment, fit the guard, and fill the back area. I remove the excess and clamp it until it cures. I do a final cleanup while the glue is still fresh, because after that it will not come off. If this helped you, leave a comment with your thoughts. Let me know if you have any questions or if you think anything was missing, and don't forget to like and share. And in the next one, I will show you how I make the handle of this knife.